So I have made this Wordle with all of the words that I find to be very important from this advanced organizer. As you can see, consistency, relationships, understanding, PBIS, positive, valued, trust, all of these words are very important and are things that I have taken away from this lesson. The first thing that I've learned is the positive behavioral interventions and supports. That's very important to have in a school program because it focuses on positives instead of punishing the kids. It's, what should they be doing? What can they be doing? Instead of, I'm taking this away from you. Also, I've learned that relationships that are rooted in trust are crucial for students to be successful. They come from all different backgrounds, so it's important that they can put their trust in you as an educator and know that you have their best interest in mind. And once they have that trust with you, they will begin to learn. Like I mentioned, students are influenced by their background and need support from educators. They need to feel valued and they need positive reinforcement. I also think teamwork is important, which is why I've included this word, because it makes them feel like they matter and they can bring something to the table. I put +2 in there from the TED Talk because I really loved her point of +2, not -18. Focus on the 2 that they got right because that is 2 on the right track. They may be 18 points away from 100%, but it's still 2 points higher than nothing, so they did understand something. Every student needs a champion fighting for them and supporting them, and that's also from the TED Talk, and I think that's very important. Every student needs to feel supported, especially if it's by an educator. I think it's just that much more powerful. Advocate for students, have their back, and fight their fight. And what I mean by that is if a student is going through a hard time, be there with them, try to help them through that, and empathize. Don't just talk to them and listen, but also do things that will help them get through it. Show through your actions that you support them. Students need structure and need to feel protected before they'll ever open up to you. So with all of that being said, that's kind of a summary of what I've learned. So how will I apply that to my classroom? I think the first important key factor is checking in with your students. I saw that in one of the later videos that I watched, that a simple check-in, hey, how's your day? Is anything going on? Could really turn things around for a student, especially if they're struggling with things at home. Just being able to open up to you about that could really change their whole outlook on the day. I also want to make sure my students realize that they are valued, and I value their presence in my classroom. I think that's important, that they feel wanted and they know that I notice that you're here every day. I notice that you're a part of this classroom, and you are very much a part of this classroom. Each student is important and each student is valued. I also think that it's important that each student feels heard. If there's an issue or even if they're just sharing an opinion, I think, it's important that they feel heard. And to do that, I think when students are talking to me, I don't want any other distractions. I don't want to be on my computer. I don't want to be writing something down in the grade book. I really want my eyes and ears on that student, because I know when I'm speaking to someone, if they're distracted doing other things, I don't feel like I'm being heard. And that's very frustrating. So for my students to feel heard, I want 100% of my focus on them when they are talking to me, especially when it's about harder topics. Building a trusting relationship will help students feel heard and feel valued. When they have a trusting relationship with me as an educator, they'll know that I have their best interest in mind, and that's extremely important for a student to be successful. And I think that's also a key factor of being a successful educator. Having a positive attitude will help me do all of these things, but I think it'll also rub off on the students and have them have a positive attitude, because after watching these videos I've realized crazy situations that students may be facing at home that you would never guess, but keeping a positive attitude may be those 6-7 hours away from home that's just enough to keep them, going through life. So being that positive role model is key to a lot of students. And like I mentioned before, realizing that students come from all backgrounds is important, because some students really are going through things that I can't even imagine. So I need to be there to support them when it's tough and let them know that they are valued and they are heard. Providing structure is another way to make sure students can be successful in the classroom. I think structure may be what some students need just to feel, I don't know, like in a good environment, feel safe in all ways possible, as well as knowing what to expect. And most of all, I think the best way to apply all of what I've learned is to do everything with love and make sure students realize that. I don't want to go to school and not have my whole heart into it, which I know it won't be an issue for me because I do love education, and so far I've loved every second of being with students in my clinicals. But I think it's important every day that I go to school to have my whole heart into it and know that these students need a role model and that I can be that for them, or I will try my best to be. So I think overall I've learned that you just have to be supportive of your students and realize what they're going through at home. And to be supportive, you have to build a trusting relationship with them and create a healthy environment for them to participate in, make them feel wanted, and make sure they know that they are valued and they do have an impact on your classroom. And also that they can come to you about anything, because that's really key here.